The serene beauty of Pahalgam, a popular tourist destination in India-administered Kashmir, was shattered on April 22, 2025. Gunmen, their faces concealed, opened fire on civilians, leaving 26 people dead and many more injured. The attack sent shockwaves through India and reignited long-simmering tensions with Pakistan. The immediate aftermath was a flurry of accusations and denials, pushing the two nuclear-armed neighbors closer to the brink. The picturesque Kashmir Valley, once a symbol of shared heritage, has become a battleground, a place where hope struggles to survive amidst constant fear and suspicion. The attack in Pahalgam, with its tragic loss of innocent lives, has once again brought the unresolved Kashmir conflict to the forefront of international attention. The world watched anxiously as India and Pakistan traded accusations, their words laced with anger and mistrust. The attack threatened to unravel the fragile peace that had held, albeit tenuously, between the two countries. The question on everyone's mind was, could this be the spark that ignites a larger conflagration? India wasted no time in pointing the finger at Pakistan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the nation, accusing Pakistan of orchestrating the attack. He vowed to avenge the deaths and declared Pakistan would pay a heavy price. India's response was swift and multifaceted. The Wagah-Attari border was closed, severing people-to-people contact. India expelled Pakistani nationals and revoked visas. The military was put on high alert with troop movements reported. The international community watched closely, concerned about potential conflict. Pakistan vehemently denied any involvement in the Pahalgam attack. Defense Minister Khawaja Asif, in a televised address, dismissed India's accusations as baseless and irresponsible. He accused India of using the attack as a pretext to malign Pakistan and deflect attention from its own internal problems. Asif went on to warn India against any military adventurism, stating that Pakistan's armed forces were fully prepared to respond to any aggression. Pakistan also called for an impartial international investigation into the Pahalgam attack. Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, in a letter to the United Nations Secretary-General, urged the international community to intervene and prevent the situation from spiraling out of control. Pakistan's appeals for international intervention, however, were met with a lukewarm response. The international community appeared reluctant to get involved in the long-standing Kashmir dispute, which has defied resolution for over 7 decades. In the murky world of espionage and clandestine operations, truth is often the first casualty. The Pahalgam attack was no exception. As a shadowy militant group, the Resistant Front emerged from the shadows to claim responsibility for the massacre. In a statement released online, the group, believed to have links to Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba, declared that the attack was in retaliation for India's actions in Kashmir. India, however, dismissed TRF's claim as a desperate attempt by Pakistan to distance itself from the attack. Indian intelligence officials pointed to the group's known connections to LET, a designated terrorist organization with a long history of carrying out attacks against India. They argued that TRF was nothing more than a proxy for Pakistan's inter-services intelligence, which India accuses of using militant groups as instruments of state policy. Pakistan, for its part, denied any links to TRF or LET. They insisted that the Pahalgam attack was an act of indigenous Kashmiri resistance against Indian rule. The truth about TRF and its alleged links to Pakistan remains shrouded in mystery. Section 5. Expert Analysis: The Precarious Balance of Nuclear-Armed States. The specter of nuclear war hangs heavy over the Indian subcontinent. With both India and Pakistan possessing nuclear arsenals, the stakes are terrifyingly high. Experts expressed grave concern about potential catastrophic escalation. Dr. Shashank Joshi warned of the incredibly dangerous situation. Both sides have their fingers on the nuclear trigger. The 2019 Beleaguered airstrikes were a stark reminder of escalating tensions. Experts warned of the risk of limited conventional conflict involving tactical nuclear weapons. The international community watched with bated breath. The potential consequences of a nuclear exchange were too horrific to contemplate. Section 6. A Troubled History, the India-Pakistan Conflict and the Kashmir Conundrum. The roots of the India-Pakistan conflict run deep, entwined with the tumultuous birth of these two nations in 1947. The partition of British India, along religious lines, into Hindu-majority India and Muslim-majority Pakistan, was a bloody and chaotic affair. Millions were displaced, and hundreds of thousands perished in communal violence. At the heart of the conflict lies the disputed territory of Kashmir, a Muslim-majority region claimed by both India and Pakistan. When the ruler of the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir hesitated to join either dominion, Pakistan-backed tribesmen invaded, leading to the First India-Pakistan War in 1947. The war ended in a stalemate, with Kashmir divided between the two countries along a ceasefire line that later became the Line of Control, or LOC. The Kashmir conflict has remained a festering wound, poisoning relations between India and Pakistan ever since. The aspirations of the Kashmiri people themselves, caught in the crossfire of this bitter rivalry, have often been ignored. Section 7. Economic Fallout. Trade disrupted, uncertainties loom. The Pahalgam attack and the subsequent escalation of tensions between India and Pakistan have had a significant impact on the already fragile economic ties between the two countries. The closure of the Wagah-Attari border crossing, a vital trade route, has disrupted supply chains and resulted in significant losses for businesses on both sides. Official trade between India and Pakistan is relatively small, amounting to a few $100 million annually. However, unofficial trade, conducted through third countries such as Dubai and Singapore, is estimated to be worth billions of dollars. This informal trade, which includes a wide range of goods, from textiles and agricultural products to pharmaceuticals and machinery, has been severely impacted by the border closure. The economic fallout from the Pahalgam attack is a stark reminder of the costs of conflict. Section 8. The Post-2019 Reality, a More Assertive India, a Beleaguered Kashmir. The year 2019 marked a turning point in the India-Pakistan relationship. In August of that year, the Indian government revoked Article 370 of the Indian Constitution, which had granted special autonomy to Jammu and Kashmir. The move, which was met with widespread protests in Kashmir and condemnation from Pakistan, effectively stripped Kashmir of its semi-autonomous status and brought it under direct Indian rule. India argued that the revocation of Article 370 was necessary to integrate Kashmir fully into the Indian Union and to spur economic development in the region. Pakistan, however, condemned the move as illegal and a violation of UN Security Council resolutions on Kashmir. The situation in Kashmir itself deteriorated, with a heavy military presence and restrictions on movement and communication. The post-2019 reality is one of heightened tensions, increased militarization, and a shrinking space for dialogue between India and Pakistan. Section 9. The World Reacts. A divided international community watches with concern. The international community reacted to the Pahalgam attack and the subsequent escalation of tensions between India and Pakistan with a mixture of concern and caution. The United States, a key ally of both India and Pakistan, condemned the attack and called for restraint from both sides. President Donald Trump expressed solidarity with India and urged Pakistan to take action against terrorist groups operating from its soil. Iran, which shares a border with Pakistan and has its own strategic interests in the region, also condemned the attack. Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif called for dialogue and de-escalation, emphasizing the need to prevent the situation from spiraling out of control. China, Pakistan's all-weather ally, expressed concern over the situation and called for restraint from both sides. Section 10. A Fragile Peace. Can India and Pakistan escape the shadow of war? The Pahalgam attack highlights the deep-seated animosity between India and Pakistan. The nuclear-armed neighbors remain locked in a dangerous dance. The path to peace is fraught with obstacles. Decades of mistrust have created a seemingly insurmountable divide. The Kashmir dispute remains a major flashpoint. Despite challenges, peace is imperative. The costs of another war are too high. Both nations must find a way to coexist peacefully. Dialogue remains the only viable option. The world deserves a future defined by peace, not war.